We are recording. This is a new normal. So it's just weird that I haven't I'm so used to recording in a studio before this that this whole Skype thing is a little weird. But let's begin. How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Very well.
How's lockdown treating you?
I am essentially just sitting at home. I haven't stepped out, which seems to be something that everyone is doing. But enough about me. This one's about you.
Okay, go ahead
Yes.
then.
All right. So for starters, I would, although I do have some insight on the plethora of things you've done, which is just amazing. You're okay. So neuropsychologist, NLP practitioner, trainer, coach, and then apart from that, there's shaman, Akashic records reader, meditation healer. Do you want to take me through this entire journey once, please? Me and everyone else listening to this.
Okay, well, you're making it sound like it's a lot of things, but I don't know. I do not see it as that. I think it just is how one just flows into the other. So I do
Mm-hmm.
not take it as distinct as you just spoke about, which actually gets me thinking, हाँ मैं इतना कुछ करती हूँ क्या? So so there's some realization settling in there, but नहीं ऐसा कुछ है नहीं है. So
Mm-hmm.
this basically is being a science student and having that inclination towards physics and metaphysics.
All
I
right.
have always been intrigued by particles, and the thing that I think pretty much changed in 11th for me was when I got to know that there is something which can make light as wave also and particle also,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that stayed on with me for a long period of time until life took its twists and turns, and I joined meditation, which was way back in 2008.
All right.
And from meditation, life has not been easier for sure. They kind of set you up in a trap, and then they say, you know what, you meditate, things are going to be okay. But it just keeps getting steeper.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I mean, isn't that why people do meditation? No, I mean, I thought the point of meditation is that life becomes easy and things just come
Yeah.
to you.
That's like the sales pitch.
Exactly. But once you buy the product, once you get hooked onto it for life, there's no
Uh-huh.
divorcing it because it is addictive in the good sense.
Right.
And secondly, yeah, life doesn't become easy. It's just that the duration of each pain and suffering and heartbreaks becomes shorter. So, yes, in
Right.
that way, of course, it is helpful. And that's the reason I'm onto it now for 12, 13 years. And then
Mm-hmm.
NLP happened on its own, which is the same thing as shamanism. They say that, you don't choose shamanism, it chooses you.
Oh yeah.
And
I've
I
heard that
think this,
one.
oh, you
That
have?
seems to
Okay.
be that seems to be for a lot of things though.
Exactly. I think for NLP also, I didn't choose it. It just chose me. And then life just happened. And I've just been
Right.
flowing in the professional and the spiritual world. For relationships, I just kind of take a pause and say, hey, I'm doing the same mistake over and over again. So let me not flow here. But for other areas of life, flowing is working very well.
Mm, you bring me to a very interesting point, Just because you spoke about relationships and flowing and then not flowing. You're doing the opposite of what most people do. So most
Is
people
it?
would actually want to flow into the relationship or something, and then be very particular about this is what I want to do, this is where I want to get, this is the job I want, etc. So that's flipping of the script is really interesting. How did that come along?
Okay. I think it all started with flowing in the relationships and things not working out.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is at 16, 17, 20, 21, wherein you think life's going to work out as per my wishes.
Oh boy, yeah. Hmm.
And you think everything is planned. My life is planned. I know what's going to happen. This will happen. Then this will happen. Then this will happen. And you are so sure about it. And you know that the entire world of 7.2 billion people is waiting only for you because you're going to change it all. Familiar, right?
Very, very. Till
was
life
so
comes
different.
along and kicks you in the ass.
And keeps kicking.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah. So that's when you realize that, dude, I don't think I can change myself. Forget about changing the world.
Hmm. But you have
Uh,
been changing yourself, haven't you?
of course. Of course. I am absolutely updated April 10th, 2020 version. You see, the software is absolutely updated.
Damn. Is that an
Yeah.
hourly or a monthly update? That was a terrible joke, Aadhar. Uh,
Yeah. As I say, it's the inner GPS update. So the inner GPS says, you know what, you have to update yourself. And I'm like, "Tuck, let's update."
let's update. Done. That's wow. I love how you put it though, and I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with. But yeah, I'm actually gonna park that one for the next set. But I am gonna get to you about this. So we very nicely flown into this particular one, and that is we called break the cycle because we wanted to talk about how people get stuck
Hmm.
in a cycle.
Hmm.
And you seem to have broken many, not just for yourself, but for a lot of other people as well. I mean, judging by the profession.
Yeah. Somehow I don't know whether I've broken, but yeah, I've been a catalyst to that, and I'm very, very thankful to God because,
Mhm.
as I often say to people that they come and they convey their thanks and gratitude and the hugs that follow. I always say, if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. But then I'm told that take credit also. So take the compliments that come your way. So I have also been learning from my clients and coaches, which is an amazing thing. How people tend to think that as a psychologist or a coach or an Akashic reader, or it's just that you keep doing stuff for people. But I cannot begin to tell you how much each interaction teaches me. It's just such a humbling experience
Mhm.
that I'm so glad I am the chosen one for this. Apart from, along with a lot of other people, of course, on the globe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
So what are some of the experiences you had to break out of over time?
Loads of them. Where do you want me to begin?
The beginning, wherever you want to start.
So it's very strange. When I started doing training and coaching, I was
Mm.
all of 24 years of age.
Okay.
And I this script, which is real, has been that I didn't want to retire at 40 and play golf, or retire at 60 and chill. I wanted to retire at 24.
Ah.
uh, because when it comes to profession, there are a lot of have tos. You have to dress up a certain way, you have to be a certain way, you have to obey people. There is so much of have tos in life which I don't seem to relate to.
Right. Yeah.
So I was very sure that I cannot get into a structure. So there is no mold that you can put me into and say, hey, this is just, or this is what she does. And
Mm.
hence the breaking the cycles have been each time people have been trying to put me into a mold, I would say, sorry, I am just going to go. I cannot be here because you want to contain me into something. So when I left my job at that time, the question was what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I think NLP chose me. And since then, it's been quite a roller coaster. But the retirement actually happened at 24. I'm 37. So I've been retired now for the last 13 years.
Wow. Define retirement. Because I think
Define.
that's something I don't even know about, obviously.
Okay.
But
Okay. Okay.
define retirement for you.
Okay. So the first thing to retirement is when you get up in the morning, you naturally have a smile on your face
Okay.
because you know that throughout the day, all you're doing is just doing what you love doing, which is actually doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually doing nothing. I love how you put that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. See, when you love something, so for you, you're a martial artist, right? So when you
Yeah.
do those moves, does it actually feel like something? Because you're so much in the flow, it just is so much of passion around that, isn't it?
Mm, yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you have that, it's not, it's very effortless. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, but it still
Right.
is very effortless, right? I mean,
Yeah.
paradoxical.
Yeah, there's like a physical movement of, like, I don't even call it effort anymore. I call it movement now. You move, but there's a certain degree of, there's a state change. There are some times which is a more aggressive state because you that's what you programmed yourself for. There is a struggled state, and then there's one which has nothing. You're just moving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So retirement is when you're just moving. So you know what retirement is because you do martial arts and you teach that.
Oh damn.
See?
I
That's
need
the
to
point,
retire.
you see? You are partly retired.
Partly retired. By that logic, yes. Partly retired.
Yeah. So wherever you feel that joy and you feel that contentment of a completion of life, I think that completions is something which is very important to me in life. And
Mm.
I wouldn't want things to be postponed to the next day. I would like to complete as much as I can. So when I even with the part with a person, it's not coming from the fear that the person may just go away. It just is each interaction is if I have love for that person in whatever form I want to express it. Similarly, retirement is just completing your life that day so that you
Ah,
know you are well lived. So you don't have to wait for it tomorrow to say I love you. You don't have to wait for it tomorrow to do something. So if I want to take a solo trip, I'll just say, sorry, I'm not working for a week. I'm going for the solo trip. That's it. Thank you so much. No work. And I
mm,
can do that for months.
it's lovely. So okay, I'm uh I'm very intrigued by the other side of things that you do. Our first interaction was me speaking to you about Akashic records, which I'm pretty sure 90% of the population listening to this don't know about. In fact, a lot of them probably don't know about shamanism as well. And that's the side that I am really interested in. Purely because it's coming from a very cynical side of things previously, which is weird because my trajectory has been, oh, I mean, for me, shamans were in a game I saw, and then I figured out that, oh, there is actually a cultural aspect to it. But the belief in what a shaman stood for was sometimes up there, sometimes not there. And then obviously getting into the whole part of finally realizing that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So I'm really kind of interested to understand how are these, like, what are these modalities? What does it entail?
Okay, so let's begin with shamanism.
Right.
Shamanism basically is a healing modality,
Mm-hmm.
and it is not cultural. I think it's pretty universal.
Okay.
I don't know whether shamans would agree to that bit, but I think it is pretty universal. So you look at with the lockdown, you saw the
Mm-hmm.
retelecast of Ramayana and Mahabharata. If you've not been watching, at least you know the entire country almost watching it. So you look at it, how each god has his or her own vehicle.
Yeah.
So there is a Nandiji with Shiv,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a mouse with Lord Ganesha,
Yeah.
and the lion comes with Ma.
Right.
And if you look at it, this is just a way of shamanism. They also heal, they give
Mm-hmm.
powers, they give vardans,
Right.
they give blessings and curses.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is exactly what shamanism is all about. You have a power animal that gives you power, and you have these set of gods and goddesses, spirits that give you blessings. So, they don't have a concept of being cursed, they just give you blessings and gifts. So the point is, at any point in time, you can take guidance from them,
Mm-hmm.
heal people,
Right.
and move on. So there's a concept of lower world there, which does not mean the hierarchy-wise lower, but it's just a world where there are animals, plants, rocks, mountains.
Okay.
So you go there, do the healing bit, get assistance from the power animal because they are as eager to connect with us as we are.
Okay.
And then go up to the upper world where the saints, the gurus, the masters, God in whatever form, they are there to provide the healing and to give us the gifts.
Hmm.
The
Where do you?
basic concept is
Right.
that, sorry, the basic concept is that everything is alive. So the specs that you and I are wearing, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
have in the background, the
Right.
laptop, whatever, everything is alive. Which is
Okay.
what you look at it when I read Yogi. So I know when you say the cynical side, because when I read Yogi, autobiography of a yogi, I thought he was the first person in my life who actually combined science and spirituality really well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's giving the logic of
It,
how
it,
even a
it's,
table has consciousness.
it's interesting how you mentioned that.
Oh Lord.
Right. I'm I'm going to let you continue and I'll tell you why that was intriguing.
Okay. So this book, now that you have it, you must have read it or you will read it in the next couple of days, couple of weeks, talks about that how a table has its own consciousness.
Right.
And this is what shamanism says, that everything is alive. So you can talk with anything. You can pick up this mug, do a divination, and take a message from this mug.
Mm.
So everything becomes important. And something that I want to tell you with meditation, you're a meditator yourself, right?
Yes,
Are you?
I do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So meditation is something which makes you lighter. You know, the experience of levitation, so on and so forth. So people tend to be lighter when they meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Shamanism is something that grounds you because
Oh,
shamans work with the earth.
right.
So it's like a beautiful combination of meditation and shamanism because meditation will be like, oh my God, I've attained nirvana. And shamanism says, come on, stay on earth. You
Oh
have
my
work to
God.
do. Yeah,
वापस आ जाओ.
exactly. So it's quite a balancing modality in that sense.
Hmm.
And that's what hooked me onto it because I was like one meditator. I've got it all in life. I can handle anything. My God is with me all times. And shamanism helps.
So balance, essentially.
Yes.
Right. It's interesting how you. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the book, and then I'm going to tell you why meditation is just so interesting to me. I've been hearing about this book since last year, and two of my friends were discussing it in the car. And this is 2 days after I had heard it somewhere else. And then I speak to this friend of mine, and I'm like, I've been hearing about this book, and he just hands it to me. He's like, here. And since then, yeah, it's there. So
How much of it have you read?
I have reached. Hang on. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? I am on. I think I reached page 43.
Oh, okay. That's a good
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah, I reached page 43 or so. Yeah. Hmm.
But you know the interesting part about this book?
Mm. No, not really.
Okay, and I've had more than 10 people experience it. So it's not a generalization, but with 10 people's experience in my life, this book decides when you read it. So
Hmm.
I don't think we have the power to say, this is a book, I'm going to read it, and I will sit down to read it. I
Right.
got a copy of this book when it was in orange color, 35
Right.
rupees.
Yeah.
I got gifted, and I was going to Chandigarh by Shatabdi. This was college days, and I thought, you know, it's a long journey. Let me take this book along. So first of all, when
Right.
it was home, I never had the courage to do that. इतनी मोटी किताब है यार, कौन पढ़ेगा? 18 साल 19 साल की उम्र में कौन पढ़ता है इतनी मोटी किताब? अब इतनी
Right.
मोटी किताब.
Yeah. That's like my
And
RD Sharma in maths. Like I'm not touching this.
I don't want to see it. I agree. Or my bio books. So I was like, no. So it
Yeah.
was just lying there. And then Shatabdi Journey, and somehow I managed to complete 69 pages of that book.
Oh man.
That's it. And then it lied at home. It was at home for years and years. Until one day I just took it out and then I read it.
Hmm. So that's what's happening. Okay. Because I reached it's been with me for months, and I've
Hmm.
only reached this much over the course of 3 days, and then it's been here. It's been here only since then, and I thought it was me. Because I have an experience with another book like this. The Alchemist has been. I say this that The Alchemist has been following me around for quite a while.
Have you read
Is that-
it?
No, I haven't. I have a book at home. I had a book at home. My folks had been reading it for years, ages ago. And last year, my friend gifts it to me, and I'm just like, I had this book. He's like, yeah, now it's time for you to read it. Like, I'll
And
try.
you gotta read It's the Alchemist.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just a metaphor for a lot of people, for all of us, to wake up to the alchemy that we already have.
Mm.
And at times you need that little bit of a kick, push, nudge, whichever form you want to call it. And that's when
Okay.
things begin to happen.
That's how I found meditation, going back to that one. I think the kick is what led me to it. And it's interesting how you said that you feel lighter after meditation, because my experiences with meditation initially, yes, it was difficult. I had a very overactive sort of mind, and I would go, I can't meditate. My brain doesn't shut up. Until I obviously realized that, all right, my brain's not supposed to shut up. I am just supposed to sit there. There have been moments when I meditate and I just feel lower or I fall asleep. That bit I've never really understood.
It's just as simple. The body is tired, it wants sleep.
Hmm.
That's one thing which I don't really get. Why do people keep complicating? Why do they look for every answer to be some mystery somewhere that is going to unravel either
Uh,
with time or the help of a coach or a reader or anything? A lot of times things are just very simple.
Because we love stories.
Um, we love complications. Yeah, we love
That,
stories. Yeah.
that too. Because we're like, okay, let's pull this thread and see what happens. Why is this not opening?
Exactly, and that's what the state of analysis paralysis is, right? You keep looking at it, what happened there, and then what else could I have done? And why am I falling asleep? ठीक है नींद आ रही होगी सो गए ना बड़ा big deal. So the path that I follow when we have eclipses,
Hmm.
uh, those eclipses go on for hours, and our meditation also goes on for hours. And at
Right,
times, an eclipse would start at about 1 o'clock at night and would go until about 7 in the morning.
right, yeah.
And my guru, till the time he was in his physical body, I saw him meditating like this for those 6 hours. Whereas I would go, 6 hours, dude, it's not easy.
That is 6 hours.
Yeah.
The maximum I've managed is 1 hour, and then I passed out.
And
I'm
in those 6 hours, a lot of times I go like, it's natural. That's the point, you see. Your mind is not required for everything. Just let
Right.
it be. It's like
Mhm.
an uninvited guest. The thoughts, I often say that, it's like thoughts are uninvited guests. So if you like the guest, you entertain it. If you don't, you give chai piyoge, you pilao a pyali of chai and you say, okay, thank you so much. Yeah,
That's the struggle, I think, with meditation for a lot of people. In fact, I am going to ask you that. I am going to ask you, what do you say to someone who basically says, I can't meditate?
exactly. Because I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, my mind doesn't shut up.
Exactly. That's, actually the most familiar thing because I get that question so much. I can't begin to tell you. Whether I'm doing a corporate workshop. So I don't know. Somehow I think people, even if they don't understand energy, they kind of get it that she's the one to ask questions and ask these kind of questions. So even if I'm doing a proper corporate leadership workshop, somebody at the end of the day would come and say, "Madam, ये दिमाग का क्या करना है?" मतलब कुछ नहीं करना, दिमाग का क्या करना है? I mean, why do you need to do I mean, why is there is so much effort about everything? We are not human doings, right? The cliched way we are beings. So, I mean, for a second, can you not just be?
Human doings, I like that.
And thoughts are natural.
Hmm.
They'll always be there, right? I mean, you can't say that. Why do I have a nose? Do you ever question that?
That's true. Yeah, you don't have a question whether you have a nose.
Or does it come in between anything? Are you not able to see because you have a nose? It's not a problem. How is that a problem? You're making thoughts a problem. It's just as natural. दिमाग है तो सोचोगे ना.
Right.
It's a thought factory, right? It is its work to produce thoughts. So when you go to buy phones and you say we are not manufacturing phones anymore, you say फिर बंद कर दो ना factory. So if
Hmm.
this factory is not producing thoughts, shut it off. No, बंद कर दो इस factory को. इसका तो काम है produce करना thoughts.
But then how would you? Okay. Because question. If you don't question the thought, how would you resolve conflict? Or rather, what would you do when it comes to conflicting thoughts? Or conflicting states, in fact, because sometimes it doesn't start with a thought.
So that's the distinction here. You see, when you look at thoughts, what you're saying is, I can't meditate because this doesn't stop.
Hmm.
The answer to that is, it is not supposed to stop. You just do what you're doing.
Hmm.
So if you walk on the road, a dog comes barking, and forgive me for this real stupid analogy, you do not pay attention to the dog because you have an agenda. You got to get to the car and get to the meeting, or wherever you're going, you got to go there. So you do not pay attention to it. And if you love the dog, you would stop for a moment, give it a little bit of love, and then move ahead.
Hmm.
Or if you love the dog so much, you may feed it 3 times a day.
Hmm.
So you got to pick and choose what you pay attention to.
Hmm. Interesting. That is true. That is true.
Yeah. So if thoughts are coming and going, where is that a problem?
Hmm. Makes sense.
Problems are when you have repetitive thoughts. Problems are when you have conflicting thoughts.
Hmm.
And that is, then you have a lot of ways to deal with that. Meditatively, you would allow a thought to come and just let it pass, not just being an observer, not engaging with it.
Right.
Yeah. So if it is somebody else's thoughts, eventually you say, छोड़ना यार, चल दारू पीने चलते. So
Okay.
similarly, you say that to your thoughts as well. छोड़ना, I'm not interested. So let me get into a story.
Right.
And that's one of the ways where people can reclaim their power back. Because a lot of power is given to the mind and the story it wants to cook. Because that's what it keeps it engaged, right?
Yeah.
And it has to be engaged at all times. That's why people get into all kind of goals and let's do this and let's do that. Because then the mind is getting a direction. Otherwise, they would just go crazy with too many thoughts coming in at all times. And then, of course, with the psychologist and the psychiatrist, they also tend to name it. This is bipolar, this is multiple disorder, this is schizophrenia, this is that. It's just as normal thoughts. When it becomes too much and people can't differentiate or do much about it, it's diagnosed as a clinical medical problem.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but it's not an issue at all. Then राई का पहाड़ बनाना हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना.
Yeah.
Yeah, just making a mountain out of a mole. That's what we are doing.
Mhm.
And when it's conflict, Aadhar, it becomes important to address it, to know where
Right.
is it coming from. Because as a human being, that integration and the person being one
Mhm.
is very important. Because that is, I think, that is the only way people can give 100% to themselves and to life. If you have parts distributed throughout the body, one says this, one says that, you will never be a person who will be able to do 100%. And if
Right.
you cannot do 100%, you're not justifying your presence on earth. Sorry. But that's
No,
how
it's
I
fine.
tend to think.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It just makes me laugh because yeah, doing too many things happens to be very close to home.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
relate to that.
Mm.
Yeah, but then we want to do everything 100%, right? That's
Yeah.
important.
Mm.
And then when you start doing that 100%, you realize I'm just I'm just one Aadhar.
Yeah.
If my close people would hear that from me, I wish I could make a lot of clones out of myself. So one could meditate, one could do the reading, one could do the coaching, one could do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't work like that. So then you pick and choose.
Like what's more important to you?
What's more important to you? Yes. As
Mm.
I read this book recently, the Ikigai, not the Ikigai,
Yeah.
Ikigai.
Yeah.
And that says, I like it the way they say that Ikigai is your reason to wake up each morning,
Hmm. Yeah.
and how that reason is so important.
I like the follow-up book also, How to Ikigai. I think I've got that one somewhere.
Okay, okay. I like the mention of Viktor Frankl because I read his book years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how he says that life has to have a meaning.
Mm.
You remember that which Shawshank Redemption? Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you see how that works in practicality. That if
Yeah.
they do not have a purpose, they think they're not important, and if a person feels he or she is not important, they will just wilt.
Mm. But then how do you get to that point where you go, okay, this is my purpose? Because a lot of times you you have that figured out in that this is resonating with me, I will go and do this, and you do it, and then at some point you just go, okay, I don't think this is for me anymore. And then they get back into that loop of why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I here to do? It could be, and again, like you said, we are people who love stories and we like to make things grand and like super grand. So it can't be that I'm here to just pick up the phone and say, hey, it's okay.
Yeah. And when somebody says, you know what, I can see your purpose is to build this huge institution
Hmm.
where you will have people coming from all over the world, and you
Okay.
better buck up and start working towards it. The person suddenly goes, aha, I am that important. Let me work towards it now. And then parallelly, there's another thing. What's my purpose in life? Oh, well, when you just look at somebody, just give a smile. That's your purpose. क्या
Mhm.
बात कर रहे हो मतलब यही काम है मेरा.
Yeah, what makes us want to be that grand?
I think need for significance.
Hmm.
And if I look at it from the spiritual perspective, I think because we are grand, it's just that we've forgotten. So we
Hmm.
want that people that, because if you look at it simply, I don't know, but if you look at it, it's Atma coming and Paramatma, right? So Param
Right.
is and this is a soul. So this means that this is coming from here, right? So if
Yeah.
this is coming from here, how is it any different from this one?
Right.
And if there's no difference, then Aham.
Okay.
And that's the inner alchemy, waking up to the divinity.
Hmm.
Then you know you are grand, and yet you are as insignificant as a grain.
It's paradoxical.
Yeah, but isn't life paradoxical? Entire life is nothing but an
That is
entire huge bundle of paradoxes.
that is true. That is
Yeah.
right. My next one, Akashic records, because that was interesting.
Hmm.
How'd that go? How'd that happen?
Tell me your experience of it. Let me hear from you.
I was I was taken aback, to be honest, because I know a mutual friend of ours who's gonna kick my ass. Uh, but I have realized that I am a tinkerer and someone who dives deep into many rabbit holes to find answers. I do not know why, but it seems to be a thing that, oh, this is an interesting thing to get into. Let's figure out what it is. Let's see the insides and the outsides. I may not do it, I may not want to do it for myself, but let's figure this out and understand how it happens. So when I first heard about it, it was for two reasons. One was obviously the healing aspect, because yes, it's important to understand where the traumas come from. At least that's what my experience so far has been, uh, when it comes to my own unlayering, and and then also because after the cynic comes, like, the opposite of the cynic person is, what does this button do? So that was the other reason how I came in, and I was very surprised at the things I heard.
It's like somebody's been following you and keeping track of everything, right?
I was just like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, so it's, for lack of a better word, it's weird how this works.
Hmm.
And I have been as amused as a lot of receivers because
Right.
I have no idea where the information would come from. And at times I would wonder that I have no idea. I'm opening the records. What if I don't know? What if I don't see? What do I do
Mhm.
then? But believe you me, that has never happened. I would just open the records and information would start to flow in. And it would leave the two of us absolutely shocked because the person would keep confirming and here, which of course the person can't see. I'm like, oh my God, Hasina? Oh, really? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I remember that happening.
Yeah, so it's that.
Hmm.
And my first experience was similar because there I was doing an NLP course in Mumbai, and I met this lady, and I asked her, "What do you do?" And she said, "I'm an Akashic record reader." And I said, "Fancy, man. What
Like,
is
yeah.
that?" Because I'm a psychologist. I'm a psychologist. I'm an Akashic record reader. I'm like, wow. Whatever it is, I want to get it done. I think people like you and me are here. Our purpose on earth is just to explore. We want to do everything.
Right. Yeah.
So, so if I look at myself from all of these domains to martial arts to theater to Spanish drums, I've kind of had my hands at all these things already, and there's
Uh,
like a huge list which I don't want to die before I do all of them. So I can relate to that completely. This is being an
yeah.
explorer. So coming back to that, I requested her, I said, come back tomorrow, please, and come early so that we can have this reading. Now, what was most interesting was whatever information she revealed to me, more than half the information was exactly what my guru told me years ago.
Oh.
And I was like, how the hell does she know all of this? And when
Hmm.
I asked, she says, just records में है. ये records बता रहे हैं मुझे कुछ नहीं पता.
Interesting.
And this was 6 years ago. And after that, I kept in touch with her. There seemed to be some connection between the two of us as well. And then I don't know. Again, I think I was chosen for this. It happened. I did the course, and now I'm doing readings for people. So she would also call at times and say, "मेरी reading कर दे." I'm like, "Ha ha, मतलब शिष्य को गुरु की reading करने को मिल रही है." Can you imagine the kind of kick it gives me? Uh, but I'm sure there is a logic. And the
Right.
Indian side of this is probably what is Nadi Shastra, if you know that bit.
I haven't heard of it actually.
The destiny on leaves that's been written.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
So I think it's something similar. I don't know. I haven't had a conversation regarding this to anybody ever before, but I think there is some parallel stuff that we can draw between these two things. So how
Mhm.
everything is recorded, and there comes an important question, which I still, when I get into a discussion, it is inconclusive, which is it destiny or is it free will?
Yeah, actually, that's a very pertinent question, and thank you for bringing that up because I was going to ask you that. I'm like, how much of it is free will anyway?
I don't know. I think it's entirely free will, right? What you choose to do this moment will define how the next moment will be.
Hmm.
And at the same time, again, a paradox. It's
Right.
all orchestrated.
You will end up at that choice anyway.
I don't think so. I think I would have made different choices in my life and would have been different if I would have continued my glorious, glamorous job at the Taj Group of Hotels. I would have been at a very different space. It's just that
Right.
something there, wonderful people, great profile, but something inside of me said, "Nahi." But what do I want to do? I don't know, but not this. When it came
Mhm.
to a point of marriage, exactly the same thing happened. The guy was perfect,
Hmm.
absolutely one of those people any girl would want. He loved me so much. People both sides knew. The families, it was a yes, everything. And I just did it in a exploration and I said, no. So the
Oh.
destiny would have taken me there. And at
Mhm.
37, I would have had grown up kids. Uh, but that's not what happened. I have a lot
Right.
of kids in the form of clients and coaches and the receivers,
Right.
but I'm not living a conventional life of a woman in India.
Hmm.
So yes, there is choice. The point is that people may be unconscious because they think there is no choice. If you just sit back, you will definitely see something else. We do not allow that space to come in to be able to see things.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the balancing act or just pausing comes in. The moment you pause, you can just see a lot of things. Otherwise, it's not possible for human mind to pay attention to multiple things.
Do you think it also comes from a fear of struggle in a
Fear
way?
of not struggling or struggling.
Fear of struggling, not struggling.
Okay. Then how do you think?
Although we do end up struggling. So, for example, I probably segued without without really setting context. So, when you mention the choices, right? I think for a lot of us, the whole point of I don't think I have a choice comes in from the point of view of oh, this is unconventional. I don't know whether it's sustainable, or I may have to struggle to do this. So I don't have a choice because I have to be safer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. Because safety or certainty is again a fundamental human need.
Hmm.
Even if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, the roti, kapda, and makan needs to be in order for you to pursue higher stuff.
Right.
So if you look at a lot of meditation centers, you will not find people below the poverty line.
Yeah.
Because if they sit and meditate, how will their children eat food?
Hmm.
So it's something that comes after the basics are taken care of.
Right.
And after that, that's where the real exploration is. When you know these things are fine, that is when you step ahead and look at it. And
Hmm.
struggle in that sense is everywhere where it is not.
That's true.
But choices are always available. And you can either live or be safe. I don't know. That's something that follows. So it does not mean that I'm reckless.
Hmm.
I have this old person inside me who's wise and very wise. But at the same time, I think let the soul explore. So
Hmm.
reckless, but at least live fully. I mean, why do people die before they actually die?
Mm.
And that's why risk is important because you wouldn't know what's on the other side. What's about the safe life? Yeah, I mean, why? And I understand that a lot of people do not have the courage. A lot of people do not have the circumstances. But they can do small little things. Either they want to do big or they don't want to do anything at all. How does that
Yeah,
work out?
the whole thing of burn your bridges, go hard or go home, go big or go home.
Exactly. So you
Yeah.
try telling a 7 months old, why the hell are you crawling? You have a marathon coming up.
Yeah. How do you, I mean,
So
I'm
this
sure you've
reminds
had,
me.
sorry, I'm sure you've had
Is
clients.
this like a typical podcast where both of us end up interrupting?
Oh, no, 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 it's the lag.
Okay.
Had this been a studio, this wouldn't have happened.
Uh, okay.
Yeah. By the way, none of this gets edited out. Anyway.
Really?
Yeah. Hi.
So there is this Kabir ji ka doha,
Right.
and let me see if I can read fully. And I
Okay.
think it's kind of it describes living life like that. And he says, कबीरा खड़ा बाजार में लिए लुखाटी हाथ
Hmm.
जो घर फूका आप ना चले हमारे साथ.
Hmm.
And forgive me, it may not be exactly the same, absolutely the same way, but it's 99% there.
Right.
And that's the way, right? I mean, at least I have kind of lived like that. That I am here and I'm walking. But if you have the courage to burn your house, which means the past conditioning and the buts and the what ifs that you're carrying, then come along and it'll be a caravan.
Is that the kind of is that something you've experienced a lot with your with the clients that you've had, the people who've come to you for coaching and everything also? The fear, I mean.
You mean to say, oh yeah. At times Aadhar is very interesting. I may be coaching a 60-year-old, but
Right.
if I close my eyes and hear, it looks like a 5-year-old talking.
Okay, man.
The issues are no different.
Hmm.
It's so sad to see that people, irrespective of age and position, are seeking the same fundamental things. And at times, it just brings me to a question which keeps coming back. That something as fundamental as, for example, love. Everybody wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are people so lonely? Why are marriages breaking? Why do we prefer this over a genuine conversation?
Oh
People
yeah.
can send hugs and kisses on WhatsApp, and when you meet, they'll go like, "Acha laga milke." And then the moment you're out, they would send pages of how good it was.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing, right? You want to connect like a but a medium to connect because that's the level of fear in people.
Is that because there's a fear of vulnerability, or what is it?
I think everything. I think it's again conditioning, right? I want to be accepted. I want to be liked, and I would go to any extent to do that. Or when I spoke my heart out, it wasn't taken very well by people. So might as well keep things to yourself. So any kind of defining experience from a close, significant one, which the other person is obviously not aware of, would land very different. And the person doesn't even mean the harm. The intentions are pure and good. But
Right.
it doesn't land like that on us. And that's where it's like the entire khichdi being cooked and served. The most interesting part is people don't think they can go back to things and mend them, which is where I feel they got to know that the moment you want, you can change things. If you think this is not how my life is to be, then just stop and change it. Do not wait for any avatar or a magical wand to come your way and say, you know what, here, your life has changed, you're a different person. You gotta take baby steps. You gotta start crawling. That's why people
Yeah.
are stuck because they're not moving. So crawl, get up, walk, then run. So you can't be saying, come on, marathon. Doesn't happen.
That's gonna bring me to my second last question. So when you meet these people, when you meet someone, or in fact, people who are on this, who are listening to this right now, I'm, and I can say it for certainty that there is that fear in a lot of people, whether they're aware or not. But for those who are coming to that stage where they are slightly aware that, yes, this is what I'm scared of, how do you kind of guide them, or what is that step that they can take to finally, if not get out of it, at least become, at least start that journey towards letting go of it?
Okay. So the first thing that I want to say is that you got to remember that fear is more fearful than you,
Ooh.
and that is why it will hold on to you because it does not want that you let go of it. So it's more fearful. It's like that child that's crying for attention.
Wow, I've never heard of
So
that.
stop and just pay attention to it. What is
Mm-hmm.
it trying to communicate? Because if you look at, we belong to the coming from the Stone Age times. Fear was fundamental because we could be attacked from anywhere.
Yeah.
But now we live in a safe world. So now that sense of attack that is coming in is actually an illusion a lot of times. Because when it comes to doing something, a sense of emergency, it's important to get into action rather than a state of fear. So you
Mm-hmm.
heard the leopards are in Chandigarh, were in Chandigarh a few days ago after the lockdown, how the
Okay.
animals have come out and reclaimed their territory. So the leopards in Chandigarh, when you look at a leopard, what do? Do you say, I'm fear, it is so much of fear, I'm so scared, you run. You don't
Yeah.
look at it and say, you know what, don't eat me, I'm very fearful. Just run. In life, that translates to take action. So if you keep thinking, sitting and keep thinking about the fear, it will overpower you. You will be this much and the fear would be this big, which is what happens in childhood, right? When
Yeah.
somebody says, Khana khale nahi to baba aa jayega. I don't know, by the time your childhood came, probably things were different, stories were different. But eat this thing, a dog will
I've,
come.
I've,
If you
I've
don't
I've heard
eat,
these.
this guy.
I've heard these. I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah.
whether they happened in my childhood, but I've heard these.
Yeah, so that didn't happen in mine, thank God. I have a set of absolutely loving and supporting parents, and that's how we discuss about things and be vocal about so many topics. But a lot of people go through that.
Mm.
So when there is fear, first look it into the face and say, what do you want? I'm sure there's something that's good for me. What's your good intention here? Let's have a conversation. What are you trying to communicate? I missed out on it. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Second is take action. And I'm just giving a couple of ways because it's like not one thing works for all. So just second thing is just take action.
Mm-hmm.
Third is you become an observer, like we do in meditation. So you just observe the fear and then let it be there or it'll disappear. Fourth is psychology. You just keep diving deeper, figure out
Mm-hmm.
where is it coming from. It's some kind of conditioning at some point in life and see whichever way connects with you. So that, all of that, these four ways mark a good beginning.
Hmm. This was going to be my second last question till you spoke about the animals reclaiming their territory. So now I'm going to get into my second last question. Um, this is a
Sure.
very, very, very interesting time. Something that, I mean, at least at the start of it, and I've had my own moments where I just go, what the hell? When is this getting over? This is beginning to get to me. Where people can't really take, they're forced to sit down. It's like a forced pause. I mean, of course, it's a pandemic. It's equivalent to a disaster. There's a lot of loss of human life, but on a personal level, for a lot of people, it's also a forced pause. How is it that a lot of these, and given the rise in cases of people who are going through rather tough time right now, because there is no, I mean, for a lot of people there is no human connection in a physical sense. There is this device that we're talking to. um I just want to hear your thoughts on that. Like, what do you think this time is for a lot of people, or for you?
I think a typical the theme that has been of this particular conversation that we are doing. Again, it's a great paradox. On one side of it, so many people are suffering and
Mm,
people are dying, and that's increasing by thousands every single day.
yeah.
It's so sad and disheartening to see human lives being lost to an invisible weapon.
Mm,
Um, on the other side, we have our lives, which started with, अरे क्या है यार ये क्या करते हैं घर पे कौन बैठेगा कैसे बैठेगा which is what happens if you look at psychology have put it so beautifully that the first step to change is denial, which is what we did all over the world. Nothing's happening. It's just a virus. What's the big deal? Nothing's
yeah.
going to happen. And thank God the Indian government took action promptly, which is when the Indians came to the second stage of change, resistance. Why lockdown? Why is it even required? And then suddenly there are experts over, in virology coming in and saying, people who are in our lives that, it is just a virus, nothing is going to happen. Why a lockdown? Not even required. I had so much work to do. I wanted to travel, so on and so forth. And came, which is what we are in right now, which is exploration. Oh, what can I do with this time? Because how much will you sleep? How much TV will you watch? How much of social media would you? And man, the more you give man what he wants, the sooner he gets bored. And when I say man, I mean a human being. So now
Mm.
the human being is bored of sleeping. The human being is bored of, will be bored of Netflix and the TV. What will you do now? So suddenly you turn towards people around and you figure out you haven't connected with them for a while. And one of
Yeah.
the most important people that you haven't connected in a very, very long time is perhaps yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is this kind of space of exploration that people are getting into. And Aadhar, I think no human can remain the same once we are out of the lockdown because it's such an intense experience and people would experience it differently. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have a choice but to upgrade ourselves. The
Yeah.
nature has got us to that point.
Now wake up, stop doing stupid shit. Go to your rooms and think about what you've done.
Exactly. Exactly. And whatever you thought was important, you've seen none of that is important. Survival is so important. We've come back to basics. Oh, great picnic.
Right.
Because a lot of us are dying in internal deaths now because we can't do the things that we wanted to do. And it's only
Right.
when you die there is potential for rebirth. So this is the perfect time of rebirthing. Well, first and foremost is stay safe and don't be infected by COVID. And once you've done that, the second is, well, die internally and allow yourself to be born again, which is
Mm.
what we want. Look at nature, look at the cycles. They just take care of everything. Monsoon, it rains. Autumn, leaves are gone. Winter is time for rest. And then comes spring, where flowers just come out again. They just blossom. So this is winter
It's a
time.
cycle.
Yeah. And if you
Mm.
allow the cycle to operate, there's not going to be any problem. We will just naturally keep flowing and keep growing.
Right. My last question. Where can these people reach out to
Oh, that's a difficult question.
you?
Okay.
Mm.
I think an FB Messenger would be the right place at the moment. And I'll update you with or by the way, there's a basic site if people can go on there. I think that'll be better. It is www.ignitingspark.com. IGNISPARK.com.
Awesome. I'm
Or
going to put
people
that.
can find me on FB by Jas Bhatia.
Awesome. I'll put that into. Thank you so much for this. This has been beautiful. I was really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. I was actually looking forward to seeing you, interact with you. I heard bits of a podcast, bits of 2 episodes, and I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And when you said you really don't do that, yay, externally so much, okay, this is going to be an interesting guy to meet and chat up with.
Right.
So it's been really good. I've also been waiting for it eagerly, and I'm glad it happened. And
I'm
thank
glad.
you so much for the work that you're doing, looking at how people are breaking the cycle. And as it reaches out to more people, I think more people will have the courage to do that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Right then. Thank you so much. I am going to stop the recording now
Thank,
and I shall talk to you soon.
thank you. Okay.